Well, the Olympics begin in less than 2 weeks, and Australia says the Olympic Village is far from ready. It's complaining about everything from the plumbing to exposed wiring. Shasta Darlington is following this story from Rio and joins us now. Shasta, as a way of trying to appease the Australians, the local mayor offered a kangaroo, but really all the team want is just decent plumbing and safe electricity.
Exactly. This is now being called Kangaroo Gate, believe it or not. When the Australians said that their rooms were unlivable, the mayor said, oh, well, maybe we should put a kangaroo in the village. They weren't too pleased about that. They say the problems are very serious. Blocked toilets, leaky pipes, and exposed wires. Just a few of the reasons Australia's Olympic delegation says it won't move in here to the athletes' village. The 31 towers have been decorated with team signs. But as the village opens its doors to many of the 17,000 athletes and coaches slated to sleep here, controversy on the very first day.
We felt that our building was not safe because of the combination of plumbing and electrical issues. When we did our stress test yesterday afternoon, there were significant leakages from plumbing pipes.
Organizers said hundreds of athletes moved in on Sunday and they were working quickly to resolve problems. Every Olympic village, because of their magnitude, needs some adjustments until it becomes perfect. The important thing is that everything will be resolved before the Games without disturbing athletes. We toured some of the Spartan apartments before inauguration.
There was this discussion about whether or not there would be air conditioning. They didn't want to pay for it, but with the Zika scare, they had to put it in the rooms. Is that right?
Well, they put air conditioning in all the bedrooms, fans in non-bedrooms, but no televisions.
The outdoor space helps compensate. Swimming pools, tennis courts, and bike trails. The U.S. delegation, which expects to have 500 athletes and staff staying at the Olympic Village, said, as is the case with every Games, they're working to resolve quote-unquote minor issues. For the Australian delegation, the problems are far from minor.
Every village has teething problems. It's very difficult to suddenly have 20,000 people in a confined space such as an Olympic Village. I have never experienced, this is my 5th Olympic Games, a village in this state or lack of state of readiness at this point in time.
The latest snafu less than 2 weeks before the start of these very controversial Games. And now the Australians are no longer alone. The Argentine Olympic Committee has also come forward saying some of their apartments are unlivable. They say they were supposed to occupy 5 floors. 2 of the floors they just can't move into. So part of their delegation is also headed to hotels, Linda.
Right, still a lot of issues plaguing the Rio Games. Shasta Darlington, thanks so much. Well, meantime, the world governing body for aquatics has just announced the ban of several Russian swimmers over doping allegations. It's the first sports federation to announce Russian athletes cannot compete at Rio since the IOC decided against a blanket ban. Russia is praising the IOC's decision and has established an anti-doping commission to help sports federations determine who can compete. Claire Sebastian is following these angles from Moscow and joins us now. Claire, just a day after the IOC passed the buck to the sporting federations, this is a huge development.
Absolutely, Linda. And this commission we just heard about just a couple of hours here in Moscow, the commission set up by the Russian Olympic Committee. The work has already started, they say, but exactly how it will work and who will be on it is a bit of a work in progress. As such, we do know that it will involve experts not only from the world of sport, but from medicine and from law as well. And it will be headed by Vitaly Smirnov. He is a honorary member of the International Olympic Committee. He has been on that committee for 45 years. And he said this is a huge task, their task to wage war against this evil, as he calls it, of doping. It is, of course, a huge task. We've seen the allegations that came out from WADA against Russia of state-backed, state-sponsored doping involving both the Sports Ministry and the FSB. It is not clear at this stage if that commission will look into those links between the government and the doping culture that report uncovered in Russia. So still very much waiting to hear more information about exactly how that will work, Linda.
And those 7 Russian swimmers banned from the Olympics. This is the first sporting federation to actually go ahead and make their own ruling. Can we expect others to follow suit?
I think we can, Linda. The impression that we got today from the Russian Olympic Committee, they said they had already uncovered or identified 8 athletes who had previous doping allegations against them who wouldn't be going. They expected that number to rise. We don't know if that tallies with the 7 coming out from the Swimming Federation. They also said, interestingly, that they expect more names to come out from Richard McLaren and his team. They say that they believe the IOC will be privy to further lists of Russian athletes implicated in that report, and that could lead to further names being crossed off the list. So we saw that initial wave of relief here in Russia, but I think reality is definitely starting to set in.
And Claire, despite the fact that Russian officials are generally happy with the IOC decision, some world champion athletes in Russia are still complaining that their country has been singled out.
Absolutely. Most notably, Yelena Isinbayeva, the world record pole vaulter, who's been the face and voice of that Russian athletics team throughout this. She put a very emotional post on Instagram yesterday saying it was not her fate to stand on the podium and hear the Russian national anthem, and that the unfairness of it all had reduced her to tears. But it's a mix of opinions. We also, the 110-meter hurdler Sergei Shubinkov, another great medal hope from that athletics team that will now not be going, tweeted out hard but reasonable as his reaction to the IOC decision yesterday. So very much a mix of reactions here, but I think it's safe to say that many still feel, like Yelena Isinbayeva does, that their dreams have been dashed.
Okay, Claire Sebastian for us live from Moscow. Good to have you with us. Thanks so much. Brazilian federal police have arrested a 12th suspect in connection with an Olympic terror plot as they continue to make preparations to keep Rio safe. Rosa Flores takes a look at the massive security in place for the Games.
Rio de Janeiro is fortified with 85,000 police, soldiers, and firemen for the Olympic Games. That was the plan all along. With the attacks in Europe in recent days and weeks, and 12 Brazilian nationals arrested after reportedly planning to attack during the Olympics, the plan seems to be working. The small army of Brazilian forces are policing airports and major tourist sites where thousands of spectators are expected. Behind the scenes, officials are sharing intelligence with other countries and working as if a terror attack is imminent during the Rio Games, according to Brazil's Minister of Justice. And it's already paying off. 4 people were denied Olympic credentials during a background check for possible terror ties. Brazilian authorities running mock scenario drills in preparation for various types of attacks, including hostage events with casualties. Even nuclear emergencies are being considered.
Despite the intense police presence, Brazilian officials insist that these extra police officers are focused on urban crime like petty theft, and that Brazil doesn't have a history of terrorism.
The 12 Brazilian nationals who were arrested for plotting an attack were deemed amateurs by authorities, who say the suspects tried to buy weapons online and train in martial arts.
It is very hard for the authorities to disrupt every single plot, and we need to remember that old adage that the authorities have to be successful all the time, the terrorists need to be lucky just once.
A jihadi messaging group is encouraging lone wolves in Brazil and lone wolves around the world willing to travel to Brazil to terrorize, according to Site Intelligence Group, an organization which monitors jihadi activity online.
That ISIS has done it through their official channel is a concern, and that they are making an effort to get the message out, not just in Arabic or English, but Portuguese, the language of Brazil itself. So that is something that we should be taking very seriously.
The biggest challenge remains the same: preparing for the unknown. Rosa Flores, CNN, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.